Yeah, hi guys, good morning. In today's session, we'll talk about Docker file, I mean single stage Docker file, multi-stage Docker file, Docker networks, okay, as well as how can we create and customize our own, save our Docker images, okay, from a running container, okay. So let me share my screen. Let me know if you guys can able to see my screen.
Yes, we can see you, Sabri.
Okay. So this is our Docker server. Let me just try to connect to this server. Okay. Docker is, this is Docker server. Let me just check the status of my Docker. So Docker is up and running. Okay. And if I'll do Docker images, then we might have some images. No, I think I have deleted all the images. Okay. So if I'll do Docker PS, then there are no containers running. If I'll do Docker PSFNN, then there are no exited containers as well. Okay. So now we'll see Docker save and Docker load. Any idea what is Docker save and Docker load? Have you seen these commands in the document what I have shared? Okay. So let me just try to pull one Nginx image. Okay, Docker container run -itd -p80 port number 80. So I want to expose this to port number 80, that is my host port, and port number 80 is the container port. Okay, and then Nginx:/latest. So what is happening? It is trying to download the image from the internet, connected to the Docker Hub, downloaded the image, and it has started the container spelling. Yes. So we have our container over here. So if I try to access this, I need to just copy the public IP and access this on browser. This is up and running. Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, what I want to do is I want to change this name. I want to customize my image. I want to change the deployment file. So what we can do? If I want to customize my default deployment, what we can do?
We have to go inside the container.
Yeah, so we have docker exec -et 4d1/bin/bash. Okay, now I'm inside my container. Okay, so then where is the deployment location? User share nginx html. So this will be the deployment location, and this is the file from where we are able to see the output. Okay, so let me just try to edit this file. vi is not working. Vim is also not working. Nano is also not working.
We need to install Vim, I think. Download and install Vim.
First, I will check the operating system of this image. So this is Ubuntu 1, right? So first, let me update apt get update. Okay, and then apt get install Vim. What will happen? It will install Vim packages. Yes. Now, if I try to do Vim index.html, then we can see the editor options. Here, what I will do? I will use techie horizon. Okay, so if I'll refresh this on my browser, what happened? Okay, sorry, I need to change at this part. So welcome to Techie Horizon. We can see here somewhere it got reflected. Okay, so let me just edit this again. This is the welcome message what we are seeing on the browser. Now if I'll try to refresh, then we will be seeing our customized deployment file or our custom file, what we have deployed. Yes or no? So now my requirement is to save this container. Earlier what we have did, we have created our container. I mean, we have written one Docker file and we have created our customized image. Now I don't want to create Docker file. My requirement is I want to save this particular container because this container has my updated deployment. I want to save this container. In this case, what we can do, we can use docker save command. Okay, -i and then test.tar. So this will be my file name. So if I hit enter, let us see what will happen. Docker save -help. So let me just check the help command. Okay, so it is asking to pass -o instead of -i. Okay, so docker save -o and then test.tar. Then it is asking for the container ID. So from this container. What happened? This is asking for image ID. Okay. Let me just check this command. Docker save. Okay. So let me add one more thing, docker save, and then we have docker commit. Okay. So what we can do is we can use docker commit command to save the running containers. I mean, from this container, if you want to create your own image, then we can use docker commit command. Okay. So docker commit, and then this will be the image ID. Okay. So docker commit and then container ID. Okay, something happened in the background, so let us clear the screen and check. Okay, here we can see one image has been created with no name. I mean, I haven't provided any name, right? So that's the reason there is no name to this particular image. Now, if I'll create one container, docker container -run -itd -p81:80 and then this particular image ID. Docker ps. Now we can see two containers are running. One is working on 80, one is working on 81. Now if I'll try to access the container on port number 81, we can see our updated deployment. So what we have did, we have created one image out of the container, docker images. Okay, so what we have did, we have created one image out of the running container. In order to use this, what we can do, we can use docker commit command. So we can commit that container and an image will get created out of that container. And make sure to pass the parameters to create the repository name and the tag name. Here I haven't created any repository name. I mean the image name and the tag name. Okay, understood?
Bro, once can you please explain?
So if you want, for example, if you have created one container and added some XYZ files in the container and you want to commit that container and you want to create one image. So what will happen now? I can use the same image and create a number of containers, or I can use and push this image in my registry and I can use for different environments. So in order to do that, that's very simple. I mean, just create one container, Docker container ps. So we have our container here, right? And then use Docker commit and then the container ID. So what will happen? One image will get created out of that container. Okay, and the same image will be the updated one, means whatever you have added your files, that files will be available inside that image. Okay.
If you use now a command as -hyphen name and mention the name, it will come. The name will come.
Sorry, -hyphen
name, then we mention the name of this particular image, it will become
-run.
name.
Yeah, so,
name.
yeah,
And like,
this
can
will
we?
run. See, already I have run the image out of this container, right? I'm sorry, one container out of this image. See, this is my image ID which I have committed D1F3. Okay, and I have used the same image to run one container with port number 81. So this is the latest one, and this was my old one.
No, Sagar bhai, my question is like, whenever we are doing Docker commit, then we are putting the image ID, right? Then for that image, I mean, whichever image we are creating now, for that, how to give name?
For that, we need to pass the parameters. Okay, so let me check the parameters as well. Docker images, Docker tag, nginx :v1. For example, I want to create a tag called nginx -v1, out of which image? So this will be my image. Docker tag and then image name and then the tag name. What will happen if I do Docker images? Then we have got this image with a specific name. So first we need to commit, and then you need to create a tag for this image. Then you can see the name over here. Okay.
Yes.
Krishna.
Yes, bro, clear. Yeah, fine.
So now what we have did, we have created one image out of one running container. Now second is we have Docker save command. For example, I want, there is one machine. Okay, for example, there is one machine where there is no internet access. Means I cannot execute Docker pull command, Docker pull nginx :latest. This will not work because there is no internet access. So in real time, what will happen is most of the times there will be no internet access. Docker engine. Okay. Here we have internet access to this particular EC2. So what will happen? If I'll execute Docker pull command, then this will try to connect to the Docker registry and download. Okay, for example, assume that we have one machine or we have one server where Docker engine is installed. Okay, there is no internet access. Okay, this is also one EC2. Okay, so what will happen now? How will it able to connect to the internet because there is no internet access? So what is happening is, if I'll execute Docker pull in both the servers, it will go to the Docker hub. Okay, Docker pull will connect to the Docker hub and download the image for us. because it has internet access. Whereas this particular EC2 doesn't have internet access. Assume that this is in the private EC2. There is no NAT gateways, there is no internet gateways, there is no internet connectivities, and it will not be able to connect to Docker Hub. So in this case, what will happen? Will I able to create any container out of this image?
No.
No.
So what's the solution for this?
We have to able to connect with the public instance and then
There is no internet access at any cost. There is no network. There is no internet access.
Maybe we can use the safe images.
So what I will do is, let us see what we can do. Okay, for example, we have how many images? We have 2 images. One is latest, one is Nginx VX. Okay, so docker save -o and then s.tar Nginx -v1. So what I have did, if you see this, I have executed docker save command. Okay, -o is nothing but for the output, and this will be my tar file name. And then I have created, out of this image, I have taken one tar file. Okay, out of this image, what I have did, I have taken one tar file. Okay, now docker image rmi. Let me delete this image. Okay, now if I do docker images, docker images, you can see there is no image with the specific tag. Okay, now let me remove this as well. So before removing, it will ask me to delete all the containers. Container stop. I have stopped all my running containers, and I will delete the existing containers as well. Okay, docker container -f to delete all the exited containers, right? So now if I do docker images, and let me delete these images as well. Nginx latest one image, image, not images. One image has been deleted. Now let me delete one more image, that is this one. Now if I do docker images, do we have any images running? There are no images in my local machine. If I do ls, what we have one test.tar file. So from where we got this test.tar file? From the existing image, that was Nginx v1. So what will happen is, if suppose there is no internet access to the servers and you want to create one container in that machine, means in this specific EC2, we cannot use docker pull command because there is no internet access. So it will try to connect to Docker Hub but there is no internet access, so it will get failed. Yes or no?
Yes.
So in this case, we can use docker save command. So docker save command, what will do, for example, assume that this is my local machine. Okay, in my local machine, I have my Docker desktop and I have internet access. Okay, let me do in this way. Okay, let me do in this way. Let me delete. Okay, let me create one image in my local machine. Okay, so let me open git bash, docker images. Docker images. Yes. Okay. So this is my local machine. So what I will do, since I know that we have Docker engine where Docker is installed, but there is no internet access, so I cannot download from internet. So what I will do as part of testing, or even when I'm working for any project, what I will do, I will first create one image in my local machine because my machine has internet access and the server doesn't have internet access. Most of the times what will happen is there will be no internet access on Jenkins server as well as for the Docker server or for any other server, means they cannot connect to internet. Everything should be available locally. Means what I will do, Nginx v1 image should be available in the local machine. So it will not connect to the Docker hub because it is already available in the local. So it will not try to connect to the Docker hub registry and it will create a container out of this. So what I will do is, let me try to pull one image, docker pull nginx latest. Sorry. Okay, so where I'm trying to pull this image in my local machine, because here we have internet access then and there is no security issues as well, right? So I will try to download one image in the local machine.
Because of that application, are you able to do this?
Which application?
You have one application on your desktop. I mean, like how you got connected? There is no
Okay, I have installed Docker in my Windows machine by using Docker desktop. So you need to install Docker desktop. Okay, so always make sure that you guys have all the setup in the local machines as well. Whenever you are working for any project, you have all the required tools. I mean Visual Studio, Git Bash, Putty, Docker. This should be available in your local machine because this is where you can test. You cannot directly come to the server, log in and do the testing. Okay, we cannot test here, right? So always create some test environments in your local machine only, and then test over here. If everything is okay, then move to the server. Okay, so what we have now, we have got our image. So what I will do is, now I want to copy this image. I want to copy this image to the EC2 where we don't have any internet access. In this case, I cannot directly copy this image. So what I need to do is I need to create a tar file for this image. So that's where we use the command called docker save -o. Okay, nginx:v nginx.tar, and then out of which image I want to create one tar file out of this image. Okay, nginx:latest. Okay, now if I do ls, here we can find one. Okay, here we can find the nginx.tar file. So this tar file has our image over there. Okay, so this image has been converted into a tar file. Now what I will do, I will move my tar file to this particular EC2, means our Docker engine. So how can we move that? By using scp command. Yes or no? We can move that by using scp-i,
Yes.
and then scp-i, and then c users 0075 downloads, and what is the key name? Already I have the pem key, right? So I will be using the same pem key to connect. Docker.pem. Okay. And then what should be the user? EC2-user @ what should be the IP? So I need to copy the public IP. Okay, copy the public IP. On which location? Always, as I said before, we need to move to TMP because TMP will have the access. Okay, so hit enter. Achha, I haven't chosen the file name. So which file? nginx.tar file. Hit enter. So what happened then? It is trying to move my file. See, copying this file to my server. So this machine. We'll wait for a couple of minutes so that this should copy successfully. Okay, so this is copying my tar file to the server where we don't have internet access. As of now, I do have internet access, but just assume that we don't have any internet access and I cannot connect to Docker Hub registry. Okay, so what happened? 84%, 86%. So there might be some cases where there will be no internet access and you want to copy some images. In this case, you can use docker save command and scp the tar file to this particular server. So now if I do cd tmp, then I can find that nginx.tar file. Now if I do docker images, do we have any images here? No, right? So now what I will do, I want to create one image out of this tar file. For that, which command we can use? We can use docker load command, not extract. Extract will not work everywhere. Okay, so we have docker load -i docker load nginx.tar. Docker load -help. Let me check. Yeah, -i. Okay. So there are a lot of parameters, guys. So always use docker load -help. Then you'll understand which parameter you can use. Okay. So docker load -i and then nginx-tar. Now see what is happening. It is trying to extract some layers. See nginx latest. Now if I do docker images, now what happened? One image has been available. Now if I try to create my container, docker container run -itd-p port number 80 colon port number 80 and then nginx colon latest. So will it try to connect to the docker hub registry now? Will it try to connect to docker hub registry?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Why it will try to connect to docker hub registry?
No,
Already
no.
this image is available in the local machine. If I hit enter, see it has created the container. It will not try to download the image because the container what we want to create is out of this image and this image is available in the local machine. So it will not try to connect to the Docker Hub registry. We are not worried whether we do have internet access or not because we have the image available in the local machine. Okay, understood?
Yes.
It will only try to connect to the Docker Hub registry when this image is not available in the local, means wherever you are trying to execute the container. Example, here we don't have any image called Tomcat or Apache. So now if I try to run docker container run -itd-p81:80 httpd. So what is happening? See, unable to find image locally, then it will try to connect to the registry. If it is not available, if it is available, then it will not try to connect to the registry. It will automatically check for the local. If that image is available, then it will create the container. So we are not worried whether we have internet access or not. This will be useful for you guys. Okay. Not only for Docker, there might be a lot of situations where there will be no internet access on the servers. That what you guys will be doing, you guys will be moving all the files locally, means to that particular server. You need to create that files in the your local machine by using Docker desktop or any other XYZ tools and copy that files to the specific servers. Okay. Understood?
Yes.
Yes, bro.
Now, we have something called Docker scan. So why do we use Docker scan? What is the use of Docker scan and how can I use the Docker scan? For example, Docker images. Okay, Docker scan nginx colon latest. I'm trying to scan this particular image and hit enter. Docker scan is not a Docker command. So earlier what was available is, earlier scan was one command which used to scan your images to check if there are any kind of vulnerabilities or bugs in your images. Means what will happen is we are trying to download this image from XYZ locations, whether this is Docker Hub registry or from unauthorized sources, right? So we need to scan our images to check if there are any kind of bugs or vulnerabilities inside our image, whether this image is exposed to any potential threats, whether this image, whatever we are trying to use, will leak our data. Okay, so for that purpose we use Docker scan. But as of now, what is happening is there is no command called Docker scan, but we have one feature in Docker Hub registry. Similar feature we can find in AWS ECR as well. Okay, so if I'll go to my Docker Hub, scanning the image is one of the very important security aspect. So always remember, this will be asked in interviews, what kind of security you have provided for your image. Then you can say that you have enabled the scanning options to scan the images. Okay, so let me sign in. So this is my account, right? So this is my repository what we have created earlier. Now what I will do, I will use the same repository and push my image in this repository. So what should happen is, whenever I will push these images to my Docker Hub, end of the day where we will be saving, we'll be saving our images in the Docker Hub registry only, right? So how to push this image to Docker Hub registry? First we need to use Docker login. Already login is successful because last time we have did this, right? So this is already available. See, the key is already available here. Okay, so now what I will do, I will just change the image, the tag name, Docker tag nginx colon latest. So this is my image name, and the tag name what I want to provide is this one. Already we have v1, so I will be creating one v2. If I do Docker images, we have our image with the specific repository tag. So now I can use Docker push and this image, then it will push to the Docker Hub registry. But before pushing, whenever this image is getting pushed, I want this image to get scanned. It should check whether there are any kind of issues with these images. For that, how to enable, just go to settings. Okay, go to settings. Here you can see Docker squad image analysis. By default it is none. Okay, now if I enable this, what will happen, it will scan each and every image which is being pushing to this particular repository. So let me just enable this option. I want to give advanced enabling, so I have used this. Or else if you use static scanning, images will be scanned once when pushed and the vulnerability report saved at the point in time. Okay, so I will use the advanced one, save. Okay, now if I go to general, and now what I will do, I will push my image, Docker push, and this will be my image name colon v2. So what is happening, this is being pushed to my Docker Hub registry. If I do refresh, you can see v2 image has been pushed. Here we can see SWOT analysis active. Now if I click this image, here we can see this image has not been started. Okay, so this will take some time to scan my image. Let me just refresh this. Okay, so newly pushed images. So I have pushed one new image. This account is on the Docker Squad free tier. So basically this is free tier what we can use. If you want to use the enterprise edition, then we need to pay for that as well. See now if you see this v2 here, the scanning has been completed and we can see some XYZ reports on our Docker Hub registry. Okay, so 6 low vulnerabilities. If I click here, so we can find different type of reports related to our Docker image. Okay, so this is how we can scan our images. Okay, so scanning is very important as part of your security features provided to the Docker images. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So try to scan the images in Docker Hub as well as in ECR as well. Okay, so try to explore this option, try to enable the scannings and just push the image. Okay, so now and then we have our Docker file, single stage Docker file. So what do you mean by single stage Docker file? In Docker files we have two type of Docker files. One is single stage Docker file and one is multi-stage Docker file. Okay, so single stage Docker file. So let me just explain you this. Single stage Docker file means
Like that way we have created one image that is called single stage.
yes. So whatever we have did in our previous sessions, that is nothing but our single stage Docker files. Okay, means for example, here this is one Docker file. This is nothing but a single stage Docker file. Okay, multi-stage Docker file means you will find two different stages in this Docker file. See, from module we are using from one time and then from one time. So we are using two from modules. So what is the benefit with the help of multi-stage Docker file? In simple words, just remember that multi-stage Docker file is used to reduce the size of the image, better security, and also to spin out the containers much faster. So what will happen is, if we use multi-stage Docker file, this will help us to reduce the size of the image. So we'll always focus on reducing the size of the image. So that's why we have used alpine as the image. For example, Docker pull alpine. To Docker images, see the size of alpine image, 7 MB. Okay, and the image of Nginx is 187 MB. There is lot of difference in the size as well. So what I will do now, I will use the alpine image and I will customize my own image. Okay, so I will use alpine image and customize or create my own image. So with the help of this, what will happen? There will be lot of unnecessary layers which are available in the Nginx or HTTPD images, which we really don't want. I mean, that is not required for my project or my application. So what I will do, I will create my image as per my requirement by using the base image as alpine, because this is very limited of size and the features and the options which are available in this alpine are also very low. I mean, very less. So I will, if I want to install something, then I will add that commands and I will install. If I don't want to install anything, then I will not install anything. So for example, let me just try to create this container, Docker container -itd and then alpine. I am trying to create one alpine image. Oh, sorry, one container out of my alpine image. Okay, so Docker images, Docker PS. So we have our container which has been created out of alpine. So now if I try to log in to this container, IT in /sh. So this is my container. I mean, currently I'm inside my alpine container. Okay. Now if I'll do Docker, sorry, not Docker. If I'll check the operating system release, so this is Linux based image. Okay, so let me first try to use update M not found. APK update. Yeah, APK is available. Okay, APK install nginx. Install is also not available, so I need to use add. Okay, so in this particular image, lot of options are not available. So what I am trying to do, I am trying to create my own image as per my requirement. Okay, I'm trying to install nginx. I am trying to update my image. I'm trying to download my image. Nginx, and try to start my nginx. Find is also available. Yes, find is available. So let me check. Find slash -name nginx. Yeah, we do have this. Okay, so cd or else service will go run. Service is also not running. Systemctl is also not running. See, a lot of options are disabled. That's the reason the size is very low. So we need to install service, we need to install systemctl, whatever is required, and we can start our nginx. Then most probably what will happen, the size of the container will be very less comparing to that of official nginx image. This image size is 187 MB, and even after installing everything, we might see the image size up to 50 MB only. So what is happening now? There is a lot of decrease in the size. Okay, so now let me create one Docker file. Okay, so let me create one Docker file. So this will be our use case for interviews, guys. So in interviews, they will be asking, have you created any Docker file? So what will be your answer? Have you guys created any Docker file?
Yes, multi-stage Docker. Yeah.
It can be a single stage or multi-stage, that doesn't matter. But have you created any Docker file? Yes. So what was your use case? How you have created? Can you write up your Docker file? Can you write your Docker file? Yes. So what was the use case? For which purpose you have written your Docker file?
In order to create an image from the Docker file.
Which image? What was the use case? Why you have used Docker file?
Alpine image in that nginx was there, and our message also was
Not nginx. You said it right, but not nginx. So we'll come to our real use case. What actual? I mean, from last 2 to 3 days we have seen Docker, right? But if asked in interviews, have you worked on Docker file? Then say yes. And what was the use case, or why you have used Docker file? Then we can say that we have used Docker file, okay, to create our own customized Tomcat by using Alpine as the base image. Okay, so our use case is to create or install Tomcat by using Alpine as the base image to avoid unwanted abstraction layers, as well as to reduce the size of our image. If you see this, the official Tomcat image what I have downloaded is 426 MB of size. Okay, now what I will do, I have my one Docker file. This is my Docker file. I am trying to download the image, the base image as Alpine 3.10. The maintainer is Sticky Horizon, and I am trying to create one directory and work directory. Work dir. Why do we use work dir? What is the use of work dir?
Changing directory.
Yeah. To
Change directory.
so basically, what will happen is this will be the base location when I log into my container, right? So this will be the location from where I will be able to access. Okay, so let me show you this as well after creating. Okay, then I'm trying to download curl and update my packages, and I'm using curl command to download my Docker images from this particular URL. So first let me check this because this is old Docker file. So I need to check whether do we have any packages or not. See, requested URL was not found. So let me just update this. Guys, someone go on mute. So let me just copy link address. Okay, and vi Docker file. Let me change this URL. So always we need to customize, guys. So you should check whether that URLs are working or not. So in this case, what is the URL now? 9.0.83. Previously it was 9.0.73. Okay, and I will also change these details here. 9.0.80. Remaining details will be same. So here if you'll see, we are using the base image as alpine, maintainer, and then I'm trying to create one directory, and this should be changing my directory to so and so location, and then trying to install curl, updating curl, and by using curl command I'm trying to download the tar file, and then I'm trying to extract the tar file by using run module, and then I'm trying to rename this and move all the files to this particular location. Okay, and then I'm trying to delete this one. I mean, whatever we have extracted, right? I'm trying to delete this one so that I can reduce some space. Okay, and then I'm trying to copy a sample.var file inside this web apps location because this is my deployment location, right? So I'm trying to deploy my application. Okay, and then I'm trying to update this and install JDK because JDK is really important to start Tomcat. Yes or no? So that's the reason I'm trying to install JDK 1.8 version, and then I'm passing the instruction as exposed to 8080 so that my image will be exposed to port number 8080, and then I'm using CMD module to start my Catalina. Okay, so everything is good. I just need to download this image, I mean the WAR file. So let me save this and let me try to download my WAR package sample.var. So instead of this sample.var, we can assume as our image, I mean our application WAR package. Okay, here we are using sample.var, but in our case it will be our application WAR package. Okay, so this is also available. Now what I will do, I will create one image out of the Docker file. So how to create that image? What is the command to create that image?
Build.
Docker build.
Sorry,
Docker build.
Docker build -t Tomcat works. I mean, I'm writing the tag as Tomcat and the version as works. I mean, this will be the version what I want to use. Okay, and then dot. Why are we using dot? Because my Docker file is available in the same location where I'm trying to execute my Docker build command. If it is some other location, then you need to pass this location. Okay. So in my case, it is not required. So I'm using dot and hit enter. So now what will happen? It will try to execute one by one layer and create one image. See, there were 13 layers. So it is trying to create first layer, second layer, third layer, fourth, fifth. Yes. See what happened now? It has executed all the 13 layers successfully and it has built one image. Now if I do this Docker images, this was the Tomcat official image what I have downloaded and the size is 426 MB. And this is the image what I have created by using Tomcat, Alpine as a base image and customize my Tomcat image. And the size is 175 MB. So there is a lot of difference in size as well. When we try to customize something, right? So we will try to reduce the size as well. Okay, now if I try to run the container out of this, and let us test our image whether that is working fine or not. Okay, container run -itd -p 8080, and I have set the instruction as 8080 only. Okay, Tomcat : works. Now if I'll do docker ps, then I can see one image is running. Okay, now if I try to access this image on my public IP, port number 8080 sample spelling mistake. See, this is our application and we have successfully customized our own image. Okay, so this will be asked in interviews and try to tell the same in interviews. So we have created our docker file by using alpine as a base image to reduce and install Tomcat to reduce the size of our images. When the size is very low, then what will happen? It will be very easy for us to move from one environment to another environment, as well as there are a lot of things which are not required for our application. So I have just installed few basic things which are really required for my application to execute. Okay, understood? Now
we
if
cannot able to see the default page of Tomcat.
You cannot see the default page because there is no default deployment. See, if there is any deployment file, then you will be, achha, this is working for this because I have downloaded from the Tomcat one. But if I'll try to create my container, then this will not be working because there is no default deployment file available. Okay. So this page will be available only if the deployment file is available in web apps, or else this will not work. Okay, since I have downloaded from Apache Tomcat website, it is available in images. Generally, we'll see there is no deployment file. Okay. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
It is very helpful.
Yeah. So now what I will do is what we have seen. I have shown you this, right? Work directory. So let us focus on work directory. Okay. So we have seen the work directory as user local Tomcat. Guys, remember this part. Okay. So I'm trying to log into my container docker exe for IT, and then paste /bin/bash. I am not sure. Bash is not working. SH is also working. Yeah, SH is also working. Now if you see this, where is my current location? This is user local Tomcat. What is the work dir? User local Tomcat. So what will happen is, so whatever we have passed in work directory, so that will change the location. Means whenever I log into my container, so I will be at that particular location. So if I change to user local Tomcat /web apps, then I will be inside the web apps. The moment I log in, I will be directly inside the web apps. Okay. Now what I will do? So we have got our image. So I will create one tag and push that image to that particular central repository, and I will save this image. And this image will be used across different development teams to do the testing and to do the deployments. So instead of sample.var, we can assume that this is our application file. I mean the var package what we have created via Jenkins and downloaded on and moved to Nexus. From Nexus, we are trying to download this. Okay. Now, have you guys understood your use case, actual use case, what you have been doing for Docker? This is what you guys need to talk in interviews.
Yes.
This is what we have. I mean, I have created my Tomcat Alpine image in one of the project, and this image was used across telecommunications domain. Okay, so I have worked on this image. At that point of time only, I have copied the Docker file as well. Okay, so this image was used in the real environment, and the tag called works is used only for production. Means we might have seen lot of tags. We can create any tag. So we used to generally create the tag called works, and the image with the tag called work will be used only for production. So this is how we used to identify, okay, if the tag is works, it means that this image is used for production only. Okay, understood?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So now what we have did, we have created one alpine base image, and we have created one tomcat. Okay, so this image, this is also one kind of Docker file, and this Docker file we called as single stage Docker file. Okay, this image we call as single stage Docker file. Okay, for example, now we'll see the real difference between single stage and multi-stage. This will be asked in interviews, guys. So single stage and multi-stage. So just remember a few points. Multi-stage Docker file is used to reduce the size of the image, better security, and also to spin out the containers much faster. So here we have some example. So let me just try to clone this repository. So whenever we get any repository, what we'll do? Is working? Yes, Git is available. So whenever we get any repository, what we'll do? cd. So this is my repository. Okay, now let me just cd into this repository. Okay, so here we have one source code. Now what I can do, I can use maven install and try to create one package. Yes or no? If I'll get any project or any source code that is related to pom.xml and maven is installed, I mean maven is required for this, so what I can do, I can create one package out of this by just executing maven mvn okay, mvn install. As of now, maven is not installed in my machine, so this is not working. Okay, so what I want is, I want to create my image. Okay, so I am using this particular Docker file. So let me just copy this Docker file. Okay, I'm using this Docker file. Okay, so what this Docker file is doing? What this Docker file is doing?
It is downloading the ambient
Same is alpine.
It is trying to, from start, try to explain from first point. Okay, so it is trying to download JDK8 image. Okay, and then it is creating one directory, and then it is copying all the files which are available. See, copy dot means copying all the files which are available at that particular location, means pom.xml, these files. Let me just show you this ls. So these files, it is trying to copy all these files inside this image. Okay, inside, it is trying to copy all these files inside this particular location, and then work dir is also this location, and then it is trying to execute the command mvn w clean package. This is a package for mvn. Okay, so same maven. Okay, so it is trying to create one package, and then it is exposing on port number 8080, and then entry point means this is trying to start my application. Okay, so this is trying to start my application. So what we can do now, let me just try to create one file, build-t build stage :v1 and then dot. So what will happen now? It will create one container for us. Sorry, it will create one image for us. See, it is trying to download all the maven packages. So similar process what we used to do for CI/CD, right? So it is trying to create one package for us. Okay, and then this is trying to still running. Okay, build has been successfully completed, and then it has exposed, and entry point has been successfully executed. Okay, so we have got our image. Now if I do docker images, sorry, let me just clear the screen. If I do docker images, we can see single stage image with size 198 MB has been created. Now if I try to run this image, let us see what will happen. So on which port number this should get exposed? 8080, right? So docker container run -itd -p 8082 8080 I want to expose on 8082 because my Tomcat and other images are running, right? Other containers. A single single stage colon v1, and if I hit enter, one container has been started. Now if I do docker ps, we can see our container is exposed on port number 8082. So let me try to access this. Okay, void labeled error page, application has no explicit mapping, means at least there is some deployment. Something was deployed. Whether this is able to access or not, that's second issue. But what we can do is we can create, we can download the source code, we can create our target, package, and also we can start our container. Means this is my application. This is not running as expected, but still we have some deployment or some random application which is running. So this is what I don't care whether my application is running or not as of now. Okay, so what happened now? We have used one Docker, a single stage Docker file. Okay, we have used one single stage Docker file. Okay, and this Docker file has created, downloaded the source code. So this is what we have did. So let me just create one diagram, then you will explain, then you'll understood this. Single stage Docker file. It has executed some XYZ commands, expose, and then we have cmd. Okay, so this image, what happened? This image has created some image for us. Sorry, this Docker file. Okay, so when I have executed this Docker file, first what it has did, first what it happened, first it has downloaded the source code. Okay, source code, then it has built my application, right? Yes or no? This is what we have seen in the output, right? So first it has downloaded all the source code and copied the source code, and then one package has been created, means it has downloaded build or dependencies downloaded. Sorry. Okay, and then what happened? Where package has been created. Yes or no? If you'll see this docker ps docker exec -it and then 71/bin/bash it. Okay, so currently where I am, we are at the app source. Here you can see all the source code has been downloaded. All the source code has been downloaded or moved to this image, and then we have downloaded all the dependencies. Once the dependencies are downloaded, one target has been created. cd target, and if I do ls, then here we can see one jar file has been created, and these are the different files which has been downloaded. As per this diagram, first source code, downloaded dependencies, and then package has been created. Yes or no, guys? This is what happened when I have created one Docker file for my application.
Instead of that jar created.
Okay, let me just make the change. Okay, so I have just written some random name. So instead of var package, it has created one jar package. How many type of packages are available?
3 types.
Then okay, so jar, var, or er, any package. So at least it has created one package for us. So where our actual application is available, our application is available in this package only. Apart from this, we are not aware of the source code and the dependencies. Okay, so in single stage Dockerfile, what happened? We can create our image. It will download the source code. It will download the dependencies and run one package for us. So this is also possible. Okay. Now Docker images. Just check this size. Single stage Docker file size is 198 MB. Okay. Now another way to do this is, okay, so we can also use this way. There is no problem. We can also use single stage Docker file. Okay, but let me try to execute multi-stage Docker file. cd multi-stage Docker file. Okay, va Docker file. Let me just delete the existing one because this is not, this is already done, right? So let me just copy my Docker file. Okay, see now what is happening. So this was my single stage and this is my multi-stage. Okay, here I have written two different stages for my image. The first stage, what it is doing, it is trying to build one image for us. Means it is trying to download JDK image. Okay, and here I am mentioning alias name. AS means alias name. Okay, the stage name what I am calling is builder. Means for every application there will be two stages. One is builder and then one is the deployment one, right? So and then we are trying to create this one and then copy and then work dar and then run the package. Okay, and then I'm trying to create one more image by using same OpenJDK file and then work dir, and I'm trying to copy the target. Whatever target it is getting created over here, I'm trying to copy the target to this image /app and then exposing and then entry point. Means, do you guys find any difference in both these Docker files except these two lines? Everything is same. Let me open Visual Studio. Okay, so I have opened Visual Studio. Let me just copy this. This is my multi-stage Docker file. And this is my single stage Docker file. Okay, are you guys able to see this?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is my single stage. This is my multi-stage. Here the first is from, here also we have from. Just we have added the alias name. This is optional. I mean, whatever name you want to provide, you can provide. It's up to you. Okay, and then I'm trying to create one directory. Here also I'm trying to create one directory. Now I'm trying to copy the source file. I mean all the files. Here also I'm trying to copy the source files. Then we have work dar. I'm trying to create one package. I'm trying to create one package. So both these are same. And then here we have one more stage, that is image, to run the image. Here this VM we are calling as building the image, and then we are trying to call this as run the image. Okay, and here if you see this from module, I'm trying to download again one more image, create one app, and then copy the file. From where I'm trying to copy -- from builder, means from this particular stage I'm trying to copy the jar file. See, app source target slash dot jar means any file with the name called jar. I want to copy that file in app slash jar. Okay, and then expose here, entry point here, entry point. So do we have much difference over here? Except 3 instructions, everything is same. Yes or no?
Yes.
Except 3 instructions, everything is same. Okay, so now let me try to create one multi-stage image. Okay, so this is my Docker file. Let me try to build this. Docker build -t multi-stage colon v1 and dot. Hit enter. So now what will happen? It will again try to download all the dependencies and create one image for us. Okay, an image has been successfully created. Now, if I'll do Docker images, see this is my multi-stage one. This was our previous one, single stage. So what is the size? 198 MB. Now if you see the multi-stage one, 124 MB. Actually in multi-stage we have couple of instructions. I mean we have extra instructions, but still the size is very low. Why? Same application, almost same files we are trying to copy. It is also creating one jar package for us. It is also trying to create one jar package for us, but still there is difference in size. Means in multi-stage Docker files, the size can be reduced. This is true, right? So whatever we have seen, we were able to successfully claim that. Okay. The official, I mean the single stage Docker file size is 200 MB around approximately. It is 125 MB. Why the size is reduced? Now let me try to run this command. Container, okay. Container run -itd -p. I will try to expose this on 8083 because 8080 and 8082 is also running. 8080 and then multi-stage colon v1. And if I hit enter, now we can see one container is running. Say multi-stage, single stage. Okay. So if I try to access this on browser 8083, same application is running. In 8082, this was our single stage Docker file. This was our multi-stage Docker file. Still the application is accessible. Everything is same, but still the size is reduced. Why?
Without using any application, we made this without using Tomcat.
Previously also I haven't used any Tomcat. Did I use any Tomcat here for single stage?
This file is same for 2 images.
Sorry?
For 8082, we have used single stage Docker file, and for 8083, we have used multi-stage.
Okay, so what will happen then? Why the size of multi-stage Docker file is reduced? Why the size of single stage is very high comparing to that of multi-stage? In multi-stage, we can see 3 instructions are extra. I mean, we have added
In
3
multi,
more instructions.
we are having from source is the same
So,
for builder image and run image.
so what will happen?
It is running only one, so it is occupying one image space.
No. Okay, so let us see the output. Okay, let us see the output when we were trying to create the image, right? So let us see the output. So this was the output. So let me just scroll up and let us try to check what happened exactly. Okay, So here I have executed docker build command. The first step, it has downloaded the base image, second step mkdir, third stage workdir, fourth stage ambient clean package. If you see this ambient clean package, so this was our final command related to the build image stage. Okay, now what happened once we have executed clean package, so what it will do, it will try to clean all the existing directory and it will try to create a package for us. Yes or no? This is the maven command, right? So what happened then, it is trying to download some, it has trying to download some dependencies from the central repository. I mean this one, dependencies. Okay, source code and then dependencies, and then package has been created. So if I'll scroll down, there are a lot of dependencies it has tried to download. Scroll down. Same output we used to see on Jenkins as well, right? So whenever we try to create MV and clean install. So similar thing we are trying to do with image. Okay, build success. Okay, the package has been created, and then here we can see something called one image has been created. Okay, so just check this image name. Okay, and then it is executing the sixth stage, I mean sixth instruction, that is this one, from. Okay, so let me show you this. From module has been executed again, work dir, and then copying the file. Okay, and then running in 4f something. Okay, everything has been done. Okay, here if you see this 5a6ddaf53480, and when we do docker images, we can find one image related to this with no name. Such kind of images we call as dangling images. What we call such kind of images? We call them as dangling images. Means whenever your docker file is not executed as expected, right? At that point, tangling images. So we can see a lot of tangling images, means with no specific output. Okay, so here what happened, after fifth stage, means after executing the build stage, one image has got created, and then from this image, means from this image one more image has got created. So this is our last image, final image. So now let us try to draw this, then you will get to know what happened. Okay, one second, this. Okay, here multi-stage docker file. Here we have builder stage. Okay, and then run stage. Means in builder stage we have some commands, in run stage we have some commands. So what this has did, this image has created one image for us. Means this is what happened. Okay, so same thing happened here. Okay, when we have executed multi-stage docker file, out of this builder stage, one image got created with this specific package. Means copied all the code, copied all the dependencies, and copied the where package has been created. Then again this stage got created, executed. Okay, and in this stage, what we are trying to do? It is trying to download the base image and then create one package and copy the jar file. Okay, so in this image, what actually happened is, it has moved all the dependency, and I can say then it has copied the jar file. Okay, so now from where we have got this jar file? From this particular image. So what it has did, it has ignored all the dependencies and the source code whatever was required to create this package, and it has just moved the final output, that is the jar file. Okay, so in this file we have downloaded some Java, that is a dependency, and then copied the jar file, means this jar file has been copied to this image. Okay, and then one image has been created, I mean this image. Okay, and then one image has been created. So what happened now? Why the image size is reduced? Why the image size is reduced? Because there is no source code available inside this image. If you want, let me just show you this. Docker exec. It got stuck, guys. 1 minute. Let me try to connect again. Okay. So what happened? It has ignored the source code and the dependencies, because out of the source code and dependencies only a package has been created. No, again, no need to copy all the dependencies. That is not required for us. Our application will work without the dependencies because that has already downloaded and created a package for us. Okay, so what is happening? It is reducing the size. Means we are not copying the unwanted details or any unwanted files in our Docker image. Because of this reason, the sizes of multi-stage Docker images will be very low and the images will work very faster. This is only having the jar package which was required for us for the deployment. Here also we are using the sample.var, right? So do we have any dependencies? Do we have any source code? We are not aware of that. They have created the package and this is running and we are using. So this is, I mean, we are also trying to do the same one. Okay, now let me just try to connect to the server again. Okay, we have Docker PS, so this is my multi-stage image. Now if I try to log in exec-it /bin/bash. Okay, bash is not working, sh. Okay, app. Now if I do ls, do we have any source code? Do we have any source code in this multi-stage Docker file?
We don't have any source code.
We just have this app.jar. From where we have got this app.jar? From this particular image. Means out of that single image, from the builder stage, it has copied the jar package to our multi-stage, I mean our run stage. Okay, and this jar image is getting executed. Now if you see the single stage image, okay, so this is my single stage, right? So let me just try to copy this. Do LSC, we have source code, we have target, we have all the dependencies which were required to create a package for us. But whereas in multi-stage, there is only one file, that is the jar file. That's the reason we have used copy -f1 from equal to builder, means from this particular stage, copy from this particular location, app source target. See, cd target pwd, means from this particular location, try to copy the file with the extension called .jar. See, .jar, and where to copy? Copy /app/app.jar. See, here we have copied, and then I'm using entry point to execute my jar file, I mean to run my jar package. Understood? So that's the reason the size of the multi-stage Docker file is very reduced, because we will not be downloading all the dependencies or copying the dependencies. We'll just copy the package which has been created, because this is what our application is. I mean, our application is inside that package only, right? So that's the reason we use multi-stage Docker files. Okay, hope this was clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Avira, but for this multi-stage also, we need source code should be there at that particular directory.
No, see, multi-stage Docker file is also getting created from this image. This will be the base image for multi-stage Docker file. Okay, source code should be available. If you
No, I
want to
mean base
execute,
image should be there
yes,
to have.
yes. If you want to execute this stage, then you should have the source code. For example, we have used this application in our recent use cases. Right, Java working app. So if you want to create a package out of this particular source code, will you download this or not?
Yes, we will download that one.
Then without downloading, if you just execute docker build command, will it come and pick it from here? No. We need to specify, we need to copy everything. Okay.
Like we are giving the git clone.
Yeah, we need to use git clone and download, and then we can create one docker file inside that location. Means your docker file should be available in this source code. See, here also we have one docker file. This is trying to download Tomcat and copying that package. Only 2 lines. Okay, here we are not using Tomcat and anything, because without using Tomcat also we can deploy, but by just using some Tomcat dependencies. That's how the application has been written. The developer who has developed this application, that's how he has developed. Okay, so do not think about that as of now. Ignore that. Just try to execute these images and check what is happening. Okay, and if you want to create one Docker file for this particular application to build the image and also deploy, then you can also do this. Use the source code, modify your modify your Docker file and execute. So here what I will do, I will use this as my deployment run stage, and the first stage will be my builder stage. Okay, now here you can see this image, right? So what I have said this, so this image has got created from the builder stage. For example, if I'll run one image, docker container run -itd -p 8085:8080 and this image. Okay, so this image has got created from this builder stage, right? So if I'll execute this, one container got created on port number 8085. So if I'll try to access this, nothing will be available. If you'll see this docker ps, one container is running, but it is not accessible. Why? Because there is no such stage or such instruction passed to run the package. It has created the package, but there is no such instruction. Okay, so now if I try to log into this container, docker exec-it .sh. If I'll do ls, see, this is my source code, this is my target. Okay, from this image it has copied the var package and created one final image for us. So these images we called as tangling images or intermediary images. Okay, this docker file from and then build. This has been copied inside this image because we have used copy module. Guys, hope this was clear. Very simple. First image will just download the source code, download the dependencies, and a package will get created. And second image, that's the actual or final image that will copy the package for us. That's the only difference. Okay, so that's the reason the size is also very low. Here see, these both file size are 198 198 because this is also single stage and this is also single stage, but this has not been completed successfully because we were using multi-stage. Okay, so 124 MB. The size has been reduced because no dependencies has been copied. If I download the dependencies, then the size will get increased. Okay.
Yes, Anna.
And then we have what we have. We have where is this? Okay, we have Docker networks. For example, Docker images. Let me try to stop these containers. Okay, let me try to stop all the containers and Docker container ps. Let me first try to stop all these containers because this will get confused. So let me try to stop Docker container stop. Wendy, and I'm trying to copy this. Okay, so what I have did, I have stopped all the running containers which were running in our Docker engine. Okay, so all the containers has been stopped. Now if I do Docker ps, no containers running. Now if I do Docker ps -prone -f, all the exited containers are also done, deleted. Docker container -f. Okay, now we don't have any running containers, we don't have any exited containers. So the only thing what we have is running images. I mean our images. Okay, so let me delete these images as well. Delete images. Delete Docker images. So this command we can use to delete all the images at a single point of time. Docker images. Okay, so we have only 2 images as of now. Remaining apart from this, all the images has been deleted. Okay, so now we can see about Docker networks. For example, Docker container run -itd and then nginx. I am not exposing my image. Okay, I am just running, try to create one container. Okay, one container has been started. Docker ps, we can see one container is running. Now if you'll see Docker exec Docker inspect, we can see one IP address has been assigned to this container. Yes or no? One IP address
Yes.
has been assigned to this container, guys. Yes or no? I want response from everyone. Okay, if I'm trying to do curl, we are able to get the response. What happened? Everyone is sleeping or what?
No, no.
Yes, I will.
Yes, sir.
ओके जाफर, तुम्हारा लैपटॉप कहाँ है? तुम कहाँ बैठ के है?
లేదన్నా అది జాబ్ ల్యాప్టాప్ స్ట్రక్ అయిపోయింది.
जाफर కూడా స్టక్ అయిపోతాడు ఇట్లానే.
నువ్వు
तुम
కూడా
भी स्टक
స్ట్రక్
हुआ है
అయితే
जिंदगी में ऐसी एक जगह.
नहीं तो आ गया मैं इधर.
ठीक है, ओके. So we can see one IP address has been assigned. From where we have got this IP address? Have you guys thought about this? I mean, how we are able to get the IP address? Okay, so this is my container. This is my Nginx container, and this container has been assigned with a specific IP address 172. What's the IP address? 172.17.0.2. Okay, so this is the IP address of my container. But from where we are able to get the container IP? How it is getting assigned? Who is assigning this IP address? Okay, so if I do Docker network ls, okay, Docker network and list of networks, we can see there are three type of networks: none, host, and bridge network. We have three type of networks: none, host, and bridge network, right? Yes or no?
Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so which network is using? I mean, my container is using which network? I haven't passed any network name. Did we pass any network name? No, but still it is trying to add some IP address. So what is the default network for your Docker container? Whenever a container got created, so what is the default network? Which network will it get assigned? This will be asked in interviews.
Bridge network.
Why? How should I check? Okay, why that is okay? Means Docker has designed in a way that it should use bridge network. Okay, accepted. But how to check? I want proof.
Like
Ni దగ్గర
inspect.
ఉందా proof? Okay, Docker inspect. చెప్పు.
Like image network ID. Sorry, image ID.
Image ID. This one, right? Container ID.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try to inspect again. Okay, so what he said is right. Here, if you'll see under networks, we can see bridge network. Okay, under networks, we can see one network called bridge is assigned to our container. And inside this bridge network, we are able to get one IP address. Okay, similarly, what I will do, I will try to inspect my network only. Okay, Docker inspect network and network name, that is bridge. Okay, so what I have did, I have inspected network. Docker inspect, sorry, where is this command? Okay, Docker inspect network and the network name is bridge. So here we can see what is the subnet masking?
16.
It means what will happen? How many IP addresses will get assigned to this containers, whichever is getting created inside this bridge network? It will try to create the IP addresses from this series. This is the CADR range. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and then if I scroll down, here we can see containers. See, this container has been assigned to this network. The container name is charming_mclean, and this is the IP address. If I scroll up, here you can see charming_mclean, and this is my container ID. Same container ID is available in our network as well, in our containers. When we try to inspect our bridge, see 744B and the name. Hope everyone got the proof that the default network for Docker is bridge network. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, if the default is breach, then why do we have different networks available? Why do we have 3 networks available? Means whenever we create any container, this is by default getting assigned to bridge network. That is okay, accepted, agreed, we have cross-checked as well. But what is the benefit or what is the difference between bridge, host and none network?
Maybe
Okay.
these are personal
Sorry, maybe these are?
for personal communication. I mean, private communication.
Yeah, kind of right, yes. Okay. So apart from this, we do also have 2 different networks, overlay and McLean. Means there are total 5 networks. By default in Docker, we can see 3: bridge, host and null network. Okay. See, bridge network. So this is the default network. Whenever you start Docker, a bridge network gets created and all newly started containers will connect automatically to the bridge network because this is the default one. Okay. So what will happen when we use this kind of networking? We can communicate between 2 containers. Okay, for example, let me try to run 2 containers here. Okay, before this, okay, let me try to run 2 containers. Okay, BGBox1, okay, and then BGBox2. So how many containers we have run? BGBox1 and BGBox2. If you do Docker inspect network bridge, then we can see BGBox1 is assigned to this IP04, sorry, 0.4 and the 0.3. So we have 2 IP addresses assigned. BGBox1 is 0.3, BGBox2 is 0.4. This is just a sample container, guys, BGBox. Okay, now what I will do? I'll try to connect to my container exec-it /bash. Bash is not working. bin.bash will work. Okay. See, now what we have did, we were able to log into the BGBox 2. Okay, from here I am trying to connect to which container? To the container BGBox1. What is the IP? 172.16, sorry, 172.17, 17.0.3. We are able to get the response. Means if we are using bridge network, then we can able to connect from one container to another container within the same network. That is, communication is possible. Now, if I am trying to use host name, what is the host name? BGBox1. This will not reply because bridge network will only work on IP addresses. Means if the container IP is changed, then again we need to change the IP address for the communications. So what is happening here? It will only support IP address. If the container has been killed and again started, then what will happen? A new IP will get created, right? Then we need to change the IP address in our application. This is not supporting the host name. So bridge network is used only for the development purposes in the testing environments. We cannot use this in the production. Why? Because in production there will be live traffic. If something goes wrong and a new container has been created, that what we need to do, we need to change the IP address in our application which is trying to communicate with that container. Every time we need to change this. So this is not recommended to use in the production environments. Okay, and apart from this, if you see this Docker PS, okay, here we can see one container is running, that is Nginx container on port number 80. If I do net stat -na pipe grep 80, are we able to see anything which is running on port number 80? Here we can see that Nginx is running on port number 80. But when I am trying to do netstart-na, we are unable to find this. I mean, we are unable to see that any container is running on port number 80. Why? We should see port number 80 is listening, right? But why it is not running? Why we are unable to see?
Because it is running
Because
inside the container.
yes, right. So what will happen is bridge network will use the networking of the container, not the host machine. Okay, means this container is using the networking. I mean, this is a port number. Okay. Port number 80 is a container port number. Okay. So bridge network will use the networking of the containers. And this is my Docker host. Docker host, Docker engine. What do you mean by Docker host or Docker engine? Okay, this will be the place where we have installed our Docker. Okay, EC2. So now this is my host port. So this will be considered as a container port. Okay, and this will be considered as my host port. Understood? So here this container is not exposed to any of the host port. That's the reason we are unable to see anything, because I have just executed this, but I haven't exposed this. For example, I'm trying to create one more container, Docker container run -itd-p81:80 Nginx. I'm trying to expose this to port number 81. Okay, now if you'll see Docker ps, then we can see port number 81. Now if I'll do netstat -na pipe grep 81, then we can see 81 is listening. Means what is happening here? The host port has been attached. Okay, and whenever a user is trying to access, for example, this is browser. Okay. If any user is trying to access public IP:81, then the request will be redirected to this particular IP address of the host port. Okay, and this host port is attached to the container port 80. So the request will be sent to host port 81 from browser, and this port number will communicate with port number 80 of the container, and container will communicate with the Nginx. Okay, so what is happening in bridge network? We are using the networking of Docker itself by default. If you want to export, then we are attaching host ports. Okay, understood?
Yes.
So now, sorry. So if you want to create your own network thread, then we can also do that. Okay, so we can also do that network as well by using, I mean, we have the command called docker network create. For example, my network name is techie. Okay, and then which network type you want to create. Create -help -help. Let me check. -d. Okay, so what I can do, I can use docker network create -d bridge network for the name called techie. Okay, see, I have created my own network. The type of network is bridge and the name of network is techie. So now if I do docker network ls, then we can see name of the what we call network is techie, and the driver, I mean the network type is bridge. Okay, We can create our own networks as well. That's up to us. Okay, and then next what we have, Docker network ls, and then we have our host network. Okay, so if you want to create any container on the host network, then we need to pass the parameter as well. Okay, see, host network means, as per this diagram, what is the host network? As per this diagram, where is our host network?
81.
81, right? So what will happen is, if I'm trying to use host network, then the container will not be using the networking of Docker. Okay, the container will not use any networking of Docker. So let us try to see this as well. Okay. I'm trying to create one more container. Okay, with the name called network as host. I mean, I'm specifying, say -d is for networking. To create my container with the name called my_nginx and on the networking called host. Now if I'll see this docker ps, see my nginx, did it got assigned with any of the port number? Here earlier we used to see 80. Okay, because container port was in use. Now we are not able to see anything. Let me just minimize this, clear the screen, and do docker ps. Else, let me just try to stop this docker container stop. Yes. Okay, so do we have any port number assigned to this nginx container which I have created on host port?
No.
stat-na type grep 80. Is anything listening on 80? Is anything listening
No.
on 80?
Yeah, there is one.
Yeah, it is listening. Why? Because host port will use the port numbering, I mean the allocation from the host port numbers, means wherever we have to install docker. Now if I try to access this, welcome to nginx. No need to expose the port number. Okay, because this is directly hosted on port number 80 of the port host. I mean wherever we have installed docker, it is not using any of the container port numbers. That's the reason we are able to see this as blank, and here we can see that it is running on port number 80, and also we are able to access this on browser. Earlier what we used to do, we used to, whenever we are trying to use this command, for example this one, we used to use -p parameter for port mapping, but here it is not required because it is directly using the networking of the host machines. Okay, so what will happen with the help of the disadvantage for the host networks is we cannot run multiple containers on the same host, means we cannot use port number 80 again. For example, if I'm trying to use port number 80 again, what will happen? This container will get killed. See my nginx, this is not available. Why? ps-exited. See, sorry, not this one. Where is my nginx one? My nginx ps-a my nginx-1 will get exited because already port number 80 is not in use, so we cannot use multiple containers on the same porting. Okay, and then we have none driver. None driver means a container will not have any IP address. For example, even let me show you this Docker PS. Okay, even if I inspect this container, Docker inspect, and then container ID, which is running on host port. If I hit enter, see there is no IP address. There is no IP address for the container which is running on the host ports. Okay. And then we have one more container that we called as one more network that we called as non-driver. Means it will create a container, but this is not accessible to anyone. It cannot communicate with one another. Apart from this, it will not be able to expose to the internet as well. If you want any container which should not access by anyone, or it should not communicate with anyone, then in this case you can use the non-driver. So there will be no networking for these containers which are created inside or running inside the non-drivers. Okay, and then we have very important, that is overlay network. What is the use of overlay network? Here if you see, overlay driver is for multi-host network communication. Means whenever we have clusterings, for example, if you are using Docker Swarm or Kubernetes, right? So that's where we use overlay network. So here what will happen? Here what will happen? So this will be my Docker host machine. Docker host 1. Okay, and similarly we do have one more machine, that is Docker host 2. Okay, and then we have one more container over here as well. Means we have multiple Docker engines. Okay, for example, this IP address is 172.17.0.10. okay, this is a kind of Nginx container. And if you want to communicate from this container to this container, means from one VPC to another VPC in general, if I want to tell. Okay, in this case, if you want to communicate from one container to another container on multiple host machines, then we should have overlay networks. So what I will do, overlay network, name of this network will be, for example, techie. Okay, and similarly same network will be created on both the sides. Then what will happen? Then the communication will be possible, because these containers will be using the networking called overlay. Okay, then the communication is possible between these containers. Okay, understood?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So how many networks are available?
3.
5 types. First is bridge network. So what is the use of bridge network?
Default, it will take the
It will be a default.
while running the container.
Yeah, so let me rephrase everything. Okay, so we have 5 type of networks. First is bridge network, that is the default network which will help us to communicate from one container to another container within the same machine. Okay, and then we have our host networks. So host network will help us to assign the port number, assign the containers to the host port. It will not use any networking related to the container. Okay, and then we have our non-network, which will be used if you don't want any networking, or if you don't want any kind of communication, then we can use non-network. And then we have overlay network. Overlay networks are used if you have multiple Docker host machines and want to communicate container from one host machine to another host machine. And then we have McLaren networking. McLaren will help us to assign the MAC address. Okay, so McLaren will help us to assign the MAC address. Okay, so McLaren and all this is not required for us. So we'll see about the networking when we are working on the Kubernetes again. Okay, because end of the day, the Docker containers we will be hosting on the Kubernetes platform. So we'll talk when we are working on the Kubernetes. Okay, so hope this was clear.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So understood Docker save, commit, load, Docker scan, single stage, multi-stage, Docker networks. And this is our final concept for Docker, that is Docker Compose. So what is Docker Compose? I will just give overview of Docker Compose. I will not take much time on Compose because we are not going to use Compose. We'll be using Kubernetes manifest file. Okay, so I will just give you some overview on Docker Compose. So what is Docker Compose? Docker Compose is a tool which will help us to create multiple containers at the same point of time. Okay, so this is a different tool. If you have installed Docker, then doesn't mean that you have Docker Compose. So you need to install Docker Compose as well. Okay, where is my document? Let me just go to my document. I will share all these documents, try to use them. Okay, Docker Compose. See, it is a tool for defining and running multiple Docker container applications. It uses YAML files to configure application servers. Default file will be docker-compose.yaml, means this should be the default file name. Can start or stop all services with a single command. Can scale up selected services when required, means if you want to scale multiple containers, right? So everything is possible in Docker Compose, because here in Docker, what is happening? If you want to create one container, that is possible. If you want to immediately create 50 containers, is that possible in Docker? If you want to scale up your environment and create provision 50 containers, then that is not possible by using Docker. So that's why we are using Docker Compose or any other orchestration tools. Okay, so first let me try to install it. So we have one command sheet. Okay, downloaded. Now let me just try to add these permissions. Okay, and then let me try to create one symbolic links. I mean, this will be the soft link and hard links, right? So this is my soft link to use Compose. Now if I'll do compose -version, then we can see Docker Compose. Docker Compose version 1.2 to 1.0 has been downloaded. Now let me try to create one Docker Compose file. Okay, so vi and the name of this file should be docker-compose.yaml. So this will be the standard name. So if I'll open this, and let me just try to copy this compose file. Okay, here we are specifying as version 3, that depends upon the Docker Compose versions, and then services, under services which all service you want to create. Okay, so I am trying to create one DB service where I am trying to use MySQL image. Okay, here you can find the description, guys. Okay, and then volumes, you can find the volume, where it will get created. Okay, and then restart always means even if something goes wrong and the container has been created, then it will try to restart again and again. Okay, and these are the different environmental variables, means my user password, database password, username, password. Okay, and then I'm trying to use one more service called WordPress, that is depends on DB. Means why do we use depends on? When we have dependencies on one container to another container, then we can use depends on module. So what will happen? This WordPress container is of no use if you don't have any database. That's the reason we are specifying that to depend on DB. Means once the DB has been successfully created, up and running, then only try to create WordPress service, or else do not create. So it will wait for DB service to get started. Recently we have created WordPress, yes or no? We have created MySQL over
Yes,
there,
yes.
right? The same process we are trying to containerize that. Okay, so remember one thing, whatever we have did by using Jenkins or some XYZ tools, we can containerize them, everything. Okay, and here I'm using WordPress image, and that port number is 8000, restart always, and this will be the WordPress DB host, I mean this one. Okay, and then volumes. Okay, so let me save this. This will not work because of this one. Okay, because we have used -, right? So this will not get, let me execute this. So what I can do is I can change this one. Okay, so I will use this image. Both images are same. The only thing is it is uncommented, and here I have commented for understanding purpose. Okay, so same file, there is no difference, just comments are not available. Now let me save this file. So I have saved this file, and then we have some docker compose commands. Means if suppose you want to create or run this compose file, then we can use the command called docker compose up. To run the compose file in detached mode means in background we can use -d. If you bring down the complete container, then you can use down. We can restart, we can stop, we can start ps pause. We have lot of commands for docker compose as well. Okay, so what we can do, let me try to use this command docker compose up to create these containers. So from where it is checking the file where it is available. Hit enter. See what is happening. First it is trying to download MySQL, because MySQL image is not available in my machine, so it will try to download MySQL, and then it will try to download WordPress because WordPress is also not available, and then it will try to create two containers that are dependent upon each other. So how this file is been getting written and all, we'll see that part when we are working on Kubernetes. Okay, so this is also very simple. This is not very complex file. This is very basic and very simple file. We just need to understand the compulsory attributes. Okay, so you will get more understanding when we are working on Kubernetes. But as of now, just try to create one Docker file of sample two-tier application. I mean, based upon this exercise. Okay, and try to execute all these commands and try to explore compose as well, because once you have got some basic understanding on compose, then it will be easy for you to understand Kubernetes. Okay, so try to execute this complete file. I will be sharing these documents, and then if I'll see this, what happened, see it has created, but this has stuck my cursor because I haven't executed this in the background. So let us see, let us wait. On which port number this will work? This will work on port number 8000. So let me copy 8000, port number 8000 I have given. See, my WordPress application is up and running. Now which language you want to use? I want to use English. Do we have English related to India? No, right? English United States. So we'll be generally using US English only. So English United States, continue. And then what should be the title? techie_horizon, username Saber, and then password. I don't want to use some XYZ password. I will use devops123 Saber Gmail. I don't have this email, but still I have added. Okay, install WordPress. Okay, try to log in. Username is Saber, and then devops123. And if I'll hit enter, then we can see our application is up and running. Yes or no? See, we are able to
Also
get all.
backend is
MySQL is the backend, and front end is our WordPress application, that is PHP application, and these are the logs related to my application because I haven't executed my application in the detached mode, means not in the background. I have used as foreground. Okay, so let me just try to connect to one more terminal. And let me show you one more thing. Where is this? Okay, let me try to connect here. Because if I'll exit from here, what will happen? The containers will get stopped, right? So I don't want to stop this as of now. Okay, so this is my same Docker server. Now if I'll do Docker PS, see WordPress image is running, MySQL is running, WordPress is running on 8000 and this is running on 3306. Now if you want to connect, then you can connect. Okay, you will want to see Docker Compose list. I want to check how many are there. Okay, now if you want to scale up some servers, for example, DB servers to 5. Okay, what I can do? Docker Compose PS. Yes. Okay, by using Docker Compose PS, we can get the list of containers which are running by Docker Compose. Okay. Now, if I want to scale up my DB servers, okay, so if you see this DB, and if you see the service name, okay, the service name are also DB, right? So what I'm trying to do is I just want to scale my DB servers to 5 containers or 3 containers because there is a lot of traffic. Now I want to scale it up to 3 containers. Now if I do 3, see, done. What happened now? If I'll do Docker Compose PS, you can see DB1, DB2, DB3. What happened? Now 3 containers has been provisioned. So this is very easy to create 50 containers. Then yes, we can create. Okay, to scale up and scale down, this is very easy. Okay, now if I do Docker PS, then see multiple containers are being provisioned. See. By just using one command, I have created multiple commands. Now, for example, you want to stop this application. You don't want to run this. Okay, so what we can do? Docker Compose. Earlier we have used up. Now I am using down. So what will happen? Everything is stopping. Now if I do, let it stop. So it is trying to stop everything. Now if I do Docker-compose PS, then we can see no containers are running. Now if I refresh this, no application. See, this is very easy or not? Exit it. If you see the logs, shutdown. So we can spin up multiple containers by using Docker Compose. We can easily scale up, we can easily bring down, we can stop, we can delete with a single command. No need to execute command again and again. If you are using Docker Compose, even this will be the same in Kubernetes as well. Understood?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Any questions, any doubts?
How we can check about that user data in database? About you just made one user.
You need to log into the container and execute the MySQL commands. Get inside the container.
So what will be the root password and all for MySQL?
Everything we have passed in this file only. Okay, you can check this file. This is the root password.
Got it.
Okay, and this is the volume. See, we have also created volume var lib MySQL here on this machine. cd var lib the volumes. Sorry. cd var lib docker volumes. Here we can find, see, root db underscore data. So this is my volume what I have created. See, here we can find some details. Okay, so we can check everything. So all the information is provided in this file only, and we are just trying to create this file. And this is one of the example for YAML file. I mean, this is how YAML looks like. So what we have seen in Ansible. Okay.
Yeah. Saber, one more question. I mean, you just said about the scan, right? So can we do that through command line interface, or we have
No,
to
no,
go
no.
with the GUI?
As of now, it is not working. So we don't have any enterprise versions as well, right? So that is not working. It's not required. You guys can use that at the Docker scat only. Okay.
Yeah, fine.
Let me stop this recording.